You're watching the Batter Fans Network.
Solana, the Batter fans are back. Welcome everybody to episode number 69 of the Batter Heat Fans Podcast. I'm your host, Daniel Guerrero, and alongside me, as always, Mr. Daniel Solana. How are you doing, sir?
We're streaking, baby. We can finally say it live on a show. And I know it was just the Brooklyn Nets, but these are games you have to win, right? You have to win these games, and the Heat did exactly what they had to do. They took care of business in game 1 of 2 against the stinky Nets. And you texted me, man. You said you're going to see how bad the Nets are tonight. And I was like, dude, I'm not sure. But we saw how bad they were, and thank God they were that bad because the Heat need these wins as they start chasing 5th and 6th place in the Eastern Conference. And the Magic won last night. So last night was a must win for the Heat.
I think my favorite thing was the post game when they went and the post game they talked to Tyler Hero and they asked him about the game, and his answer was just straight, this was a professional win. And I thought, it's like, I kind of like that, because this isn't a game that earlier in the year you would be really hyped up. You just beat the Cavs, the top team. They're resting all their starters. 2 days later, you're playing them again at home, and then you lose. You're playing against the Utah Jazz. We talked about it last show. They're tanking on purpose. You lose. This is a professional win because you took care of business. You did what you were supposed to. Because the Brooklyn Nets want to lose, you need to win, and you didn't play with your food. From the jump, they jumped on them. They got off. They scored 34 points in the first quarter. I didn't realize they were like the top scoring first quarter team in the league.
Second
To the Denver, I believe. But just good performance overall. And like I said, they didn't play with their food, which is the most important part. Tyler Hero, another 22 points. I'm really interested in how things are going to go when Norman Powell comes back. And then Khalil Ware got almost 30 minutes, 11 points, 13 rebounds. He is your regular double-double guy. It's just hard to say too much or any bad after yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, but you also have to take into account, like we've been saying, who the opponent was, right? The opponent was playing guys named Danny Wolf, Grant Nelson. I mean, guys who nobody in the league knows who these people are. So, yeah, it was exactly what Tyler Hero said, a professional win. And that's exactly what you want to hear from one of your, star players on the team. You want to hear that, hey, we're here to take care of business. That's exactly what they did last night. And man, they played very well. They played very well. I thought Bam had a good game, 23 points, 9 rebounds. He took 7 threes though, Danny. 7 threes. I think that's a lot. And I would have liked some of those shots to go to somebody else.
Yeah, absolutely. But I can't. I can't. It's hard for me to say bad. And you know why? Because usually when we beat bad teams, I'm like, yeah, but it was, I don't know, the Wizards or whatever the hell. But because this is coming off of the Rockets win, and they didn't get too high on themselves and then all this shit to bed, I think that's why I feel a little better, because that was a big Rockets win, and then they didn't allow this to go sideways. Now, what's important is that they come out and they don't just win on Thursday, but that they kind of assert their dominance like they did last night again. Because again, the Brooklyn Nets are trying to lose. They kept out their top rookie, Diego Yemen, out of the game because they always sit somebody out to make sure that they are not very competitive. The Heat need to take advantage of that. They need another professional win. They need to get to 34-29, and they need to get to the 7-3 that we were talking about when that 10-game schedule of games was going to start. I mean, I'm surprised that it ended up being that good, because that Milwaukee loss really kind of threw a wrench into things. I was really frustrated after that. But, I mean, outside of that Utah game, Milwaukee and Philadelphia, that's acceptable. Not a bad run of 10 games if they can finish it off against Brooklyn.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. And you got to tip your hat to Jaime Jaquez, right? He's starting to become, again, that 6th man of the year candidate. Last night, 20 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists. He's definitely the motor of that second unit, and he's become, a bucket in the paint, man. He's so good around the rim, and he's so good with that little floater that he does. He drives, fakes one way, comes back the other way, and either has a wide open layup off the glass, or he has that little floater that he's just become so good at. And also, dude, Simone Fontecchio, 12 points last night. 3 out of 6 on threes. He had 3 free throws. Right now, the Heat are clicking. It's a shame that Norman Powell and Niko Jovic are injured. Obviously, we don't know what Jovic would be, giving to the team right now.
Right.
But Norman Powell obviously is a player that, like you said at the beginning of the podcast, it's going to be interesting when he's healthy what happens with him and Tyler Hero, because when Norman Powell is in the starting lineup, the Heat play fine. But now Tyler Hero has essentially replaced him in the starting lineup, and the Heat haven't missed a beat, at least in terms of what it is the first quarter. They're still, like you mentioned, the second highest scoring team in the NBA. And look, it's going to be interesting, but it's good that the Heat are finally starting to get healthy, and we're starting to see maybe some of the ideas that Spo had. Obviously, we're working more pick and roll into it. I love the fact that Bam and Kel'el Ware are getting minutes together, something that Bam was vocal about in the post game last week on Sunday. He was vocal about he wanted more minutes with Kel'el. So I think Spo is listening to his roster, listening to his players, and his players are responding.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with everything you said. You said, and I'm sure a lot of people are thinking the trepidation here is what happens when Norman Powell comes back. Does he put Tyler Hero back on the bench? How does he take that, right? Because he's playing well now as a starter. Does it mess up the chemistry? Do they dare take Pelle Larsson and put him on the bench, which I think would be a mistake, because I think Pelle Larsson is that piece that you need in that starting lineup. I think it's better to kind of rotate Powell and Hero in and out, always have one of them on the court. So it's going to be interesting when he comes back. Have you heard when his return date is? I don't even know.
No, he's week to week, so he'll probably be out, for this upcoming game, and they'll reevaluate him, and maybe, he'll be available for Sunday. I doubt it. It's a 6:00 game on Sunday. I think it's against the Pistons, if I'm not mistaken.
It is.
So I don't think he'll be back as long as the Heat continue to win. I think they can afford to continue to rest him and get him ready for the playoffs, because remember, the injury that he has is a strained groin, and so that's an injury that can get re-injured very quickly if you don't rest it and you don't rehab it correctly. So what you need, Danny, is you need the Heat to continue to win so that he can continue to rest, and then you can figure that out when the time comes. But to answer your question, he's week to week, and we'll see what happens next week.
Yeah. Well, they got the Brooklyn Nets again tomorrow night. They need to take care of business. Another professional win. If they could end up 34-29 going into the Charlotte the Hornets have gotten hot over the last month or so. They're a couple games behind the Heat right now. I think it would be important to get this dub against Brooklyn, feel good, and take care of Charlotte also. But one game at a time, because the last time we got hyped up for a Pistons game, things kind of derailed after that.
Yeah, absolutely. But the good news is, even though you have the Pistons, which could possibly be a loss, you need to beat Brooklyn on Thursday. Like you said, you need to beat Charlotte on Friday. They are a direct opponent in the play-in. And then, like you said, you have Detroit, which could be, another statement win for this team. Washington, which is another professional win. And then you get a chance at revenge at Milwaukee. Milwaukee comes to town. And then you have Orlando. Orlando, a direct opponent for that 5th, 6th seed. They're just ahead of you in the standings. And some big games coming up for the Heat over the next week before you welcome in LeBron James and you go at Houston and versus San Antonio. 2 games against Cleveland. That's the gauntlet right there that's going to make or break the Heat season.
Yeah, that's going to be huge. And all of that's coming up very soon. So like we said, take care of business with Brooklyn, because that's a must win. And then after that, we will start looking at the more competitive games, because the schedule does get a little tighter after that. So we'll see. Any final words there, Solano?
No, man. I'm just glad to be back talking Heat basketball. We'll be back on Friday. On Friday to talk Miami Heat basketball again. It's nice, man. I love talking about basketball.
Yeah, me too. I love talking about winning basketball. Is what I love talking about. All right. If you're listening on audio, appreciate you listening to the end. Leave us 5 stars and a comment. If you're watching on YouTube, like and subscribe. And we will be back on Friday to talk, hopefully, about a second win against the Brooklyn Nets. So until the next one, have a good one.